about that now.
Mm-hmm.
I've tweaked. The more I tweak with it, the more I know I don't know shit about this.
Oh yeah.
You
should hit up Bishop. He knows, because not only does he know all the stuff, but he knows how to like set the mic so it picks up the best part and like where to like. Because he used to yell at me all the time.
Dude, you know what's funny? That's the one I learned that today.
Yeah.
Where it says the brand name.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I rotated it and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, because
I was like, you got to be shit.
Yeah, because that's where it picks it up. Because they're not made for like boom style, like where they're gonna pick up everything.
This is a condenser.
Yeah, they're meant for that like straight on talk. And then I am a hands guy, so I constantly like when I'm bang, I'm always bumping stuff. And it's like
some of the episodes I'm always
and it's like bing 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 bing, and it always just sounds worse on the stuff.
Yeah.
But like I'm telling you, hit Bishop up, get him to come here one night. I guarantee you he'll tweak everything. He knows all this stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm as soon as I get my taxes, I'm getting the Rode Procaster thing, and then I'm getting two like the real nice mic. Like this is about as basic as you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like I said, it's done good.
Yeah.
For a while, but it's time to upgrade. I want to do more shit with it, and it's very limiting.
Yeah, it's a lot of people do like they'll get those portable Zooms, and they'll have that so you can plug your mics into it and you can take that everywhere. And I see a lot of people doing that now.
I was I think the past 2, 3, 4 days I've been up late at night, like later than I should be, and looking between either the Zoom 4, which is the handheld, the Zoom 8, or the Rodecaster, which is the same. It's about the same thing as the Zoom 8, just a little nicer. And I've been going back and forth on it. And I'm just gonna say fuck it and spend the money and get one that it'd be the last one I'll ever have to get.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Absolutely.
And same thing with the microphones, because I'm not rough with them at all.
Yeah,
I'm pretty gentle with them. But dude, I was gonna ask you, how long has the Gruff Goat Showcase been going on?
So it's probably about it's got to be in its 4th year, maybe 3rd or 4th year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So originally it was Blair Postman. I don't know if you ever saw her when she was here. So there was a comic named Blair Postman. She's in DC now, but she started doing comedy down here. Got the showcase down there at Waterline, and when she was moving, she was grateful enough to just basically hand that off to me and Lewis Bishop. Nice. So
that's usually how things work.
Yeah. So it was really great, and Waterline's a great place to work with. Like they are like aces when it comes to just local stuff, and like not only just comedy and musicians, and like they got arts and crafts fairs there constantly. So they're really about the community, and they've been so great to me. It started as a monthly showcase, and now it's 2 times a month. So it's great. It helps me get comics on stage. I can't wait for everything to open up so I can bring some more out of towners. Right now I'm struggling because there's not a lot of comics that are around. So nobody's really traveling yet. So hopefully when that starts to open up, I can start filling more spots with some outside people.
Yeah, that's an awesome spot. Like we were talking about the last last week, I want to say.
Yep.
About how good, like, that's a good fucking crowd.
Yeah. It's one of the best crowds. I always tell people that crowd is so forgiving. So you don't have to worry about, like, if you tell a joke that doesn't really land with that crowd, they're not done with you. Like you've seen that in places where sometimes you tell a joke that might be a little off-putting to a group, and then that's it. They fold their arms and they're done for the rest of your set. They're just like, we're not into that one. But if you tell the next joke and they're into it, they're right back on board. And that's the best part about that crowd. And I have customers that I've seen come to almost every one of my shows. Like, I've been doing it for at least almost 3 years now. So like the fact that I have somebody like I recognize their name, and every time they're excited about it, and like so. I mean, it's just one of the best places and the best crowds that I've had in Wilmington.
That's it. I mean, that is an awesome spot.
Yeah.
Because I mean, especially the space.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, that's why I tell everybody.
Indoor and outdoor.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I tell everybody. Like when I say, that's why I keep it very loose. I mean, you've heard me tell my speech. I'm like, hey, you can go up there. I want to have showcase sets. I want the audience to have a good show, but I also want to make sure that I don't burn the room. And I always tell people like, hey, if you bomb, I'm fine with you bombing. Don't hate fuck the room, man. Like
that's the one thing about me. Like if I feel like if I have to be like, hey, I'm talking up here, I've already lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it was kind of like how we were saying, like the octave of your voice gets a little higher. Like, all right, I think I'm gonna wrap it up now.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey, listen, we've all had it. We've all had our sets that we thought we were gonna kill on, and we start and it just doesn't hit.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and then it just throws you all out of whack the rest because you're like, fuck, what now? That was like,
yeah. And it's just like, I get it. I've been there. And, my thing is like, I always try to, if I'm going to bail on something or if I'm going to go short on time, which it's rare, you're going to hear me give you that. Like, you're going to know as a host that like, okay, he's getting off. It's not going to be like, surprise. Because I've had that happen to me where like, comic is just in the middle, they're in the middle of a joke and they're like, I'm done. And they just walk off stage and you're like, oh, what the hell? And you're like running from across the room trying to get up on stage, and
I've done that one time, and I'm not gonna say where. I'm not gonna say whose show.
I'm sure they'll make a comment on the Facebook post when we put it out.
But this is not a good. It's not a good room for comedy. But the crowd was talking the entire night. Mm-hmm. They thought it was a Q&A the whole time.
Right.
And even like everyone in the lineup had said something about it, like, hey, y'all, like, damn. Mm-hmm. And then towards the end, I mean, it was getting close to my time. I was just like, you know what? I'm fucking tired of you people.
Right. Yeah.
And but the host was, damn, I about slipped up. but the host was right there and took it. Yeah. So they I'm not even gonna say. I just said they.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing is as long as you know, like that should be. But a host should always be aware of what's going on.
It was because I'm the very last thing I'll ever blame for a bad set is the crowd.
Right.
First I'm gonna blame myself.
Yeah.
If something goes bad, but that was not the best crowds I've ever had.
We did a competition for years at another location, and it was more of a bar than anything, and we did it year after year. So the people who owned the bar loved us, and we loved them. They always gave us great opportunities there. Just sometimes the crowds were rough because it was just hard to set up. It was a restaurant/bar, and here we are coming in. And
it's hard. You see the people that talk about pussy jokes.
Yeah, like, it's like surprise. You got some comedy, and they're not into it, and you're like, it's okay. But there was this one time during the contest. This guy, loudly, and it wasn't even like, I wish it was a customer, but it was somebody that worked for the bar who was off for the night. Like, he was off, and he was just wasted in the crowd. And being so loud, and like he just,
because he kind of thought he could get away with it.
Right, and it was just being ridiculous during the whole thing. So of course now I get up and I start my joke, and he just starts, and literally he just turns around and he starts screaming one of the people that works there's name out loud. Like, he's like, hey, and I was just like, I literally stopped and dad stared him in the middle of my set. Like, it's a full competition. Like, people are supposed to vote for your set at the end. I just dad stared him.
You're about to start counting to 5.
Yeah, and I looked at him. I go, you done yet? Because you've ruined every set that's happened since this whole thing started. Yeah. Like, I completely. So I screwed myself in that set. Like, obviously I was not getting any votes from anybody in that crowd, but it shut that guy up. And I just remember afterwards, I'm like, man, like now, like, because now I felt bad because it was always a good room. We did it year after year. And like, so I had come up, I bumped into the owners of the place, and, I felt bad because I didn't run the room. I just was kind of one of the guys in there.
Right.
But I knew the guy that owned it, and I went up to him and I'm like, I am so sorry that, and he's like, don't apologize. He's like, he works here, he should know better. And that made me feel better, but it still like made me, I still felt bad about that. But if somebody had to put that guy in his place, and of course it was me.
I did a room where, like I said, I'm not gonna say where it is, but I definitely took a few jabs at the establishment, and as soon as I got upstairs, I walked past the owner. I didn't even acknowledge it. I was like, "What's going on, man?" But as soon as I walked past him, I was like.
And then they'd be like, "Oh, that Hunter Sutton's banned, huh?"
But it was definitely a place I knew I wasn't coming back.
Yeah, that's the one thing I could say. I haven't been banned from a place yet.
I'm not mean. I'm suspended from a place. I won't go into it. I've talked about it a few. I'll get heated. I've talked about it on a few episodes where, but yeah, I can come back in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is you're gonna figure it out, and like.
No, I got caught doing illegal pharmaceutical transaction in the parking lot.
Oh, so yeah, I mean,
but I can come back.
Yeah.
They're just like, give it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a.
My bad.
That's a legit, like, my thing is.
And I'm not upset.
You never want. My thing is, I always tell comedians, like, you don't ever want somebody to have to lose their business.
Yeah.
Because of something.
And I get it.
And
that's why I left quietly, and I was like, my bad.
Yeah.
It was an open mic, and it was a place where everyone was like, really? Mm-hmm. You're kicking him out for that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you kind of know where I'm talking about.
I think I do.
But they're like, just give it a few weeks, you can come back.
Yeah, that's the best way it's going to happen.
Yeah, I left quietly. I was like, my bad. I got in the Uber because I've been drinking, and I went home.
That's it. And that's
and I didn't call back and go, I'm sorry. I just left it. I let it be. And when one of the bartenders, whatever, they'll tell me when it's cool to come back. I mean,
they give you okay.
Yeah, be like, hey, you want to come out to the mic? I mean, if that's the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something you.
It's a stupid.
It's you know what? It's how old are you?
28.
Okay, so you're still got that young 20s in you and things like that. Like, that's gotten beaten out of me 20 years ago. So I'm like, ugh. So like, I get it. And I was there. I mean, I moved to Wilmington when I was 25. So like that
have you been doing comedy then, or
I actually started when I was 32.
Really?
Yeah. So I've only been doing comedy for about it'll be 11 years. 10 or 11 years, yeah.
Because I feel like I started comedy late. I started at, let's see, 27? 26, 27? It'll be 2 years in July I've been doing comedy.
Yeah. So I started in July of 2011, 2011. Yeah, 2011. So it'll be 10 years this year in July. I'll be doing it, and started down at Nut Street. So
yeah, was that when it was Nut Street Comedy Room?
Mm-hmm.
Before it was Dead Crow.
Yeah, so it used to be the next door. It was the bottom of the soapbox.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I started. Ironically, I lived in New York for 25 years and moved down here. Why wouldn't I do comedy in New York, the haven of comedy?
Right.
Why do I wait until I'm 32 in a North Carolina suburb? And I'm like, hey, I should do comedy. And literally a friend talked me into it because I was playing kickball. They have the kickball leagues here, like the bar kickball leagues, and
the drunk league.
Yeah, so like afterwards we were at the bar and we were getting drunk and rowdy, and I was just telling a story, and of course half the people that were there were stopped and just listened to my tell my story.
Yeah,
and this guy's
because
like,
your voice travels.
Yeah, and the guy I knew was like, you need to go down here and do some comedy, and I spent about a month just watching comedy down at Nut Street, and then I got up, and that was it. I was done from that point. It's been like, that's the best and worst thing that's happened to me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, comedy is definitely, like, people think I'm exaggerating when I tell them comedy saved my life. Mm-hmm. Like I'm still all kinds of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But at one time, you know, my friends, thank God, not so much anymore. My friends were dropping left and right, and I was just like, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's literally when you realize that you have a group of other deviants in the world that you can have that conversation with, and you realize that you're not alone. I think that opens up a lot because it's hard. It's hard because you're searching for something for so many years in your life, and then when you find like that group that you can have a conversation with, and that's the thing is like when you know comics and you have a conversation with them and they get dark and nobody goes no you can't go there, like no, they listen to you.
We don't even bat an eye.
Right, and that's some of the stuff, like, you know, and like some of my good friends, they do things like, you know, for a living, like they do horrible things where they got to pick up dead bodies for a living. And then they got to go home.
My cousin does that.
And then that's a hard thing to do. Is like, how do you go home without like decompressing with that? Well, you know, the guy happens to be a comic, and he calls me and he wants to talk about it. Am I going to joke back about what he just picked up and how, like, you know, messed up it is? Of course I am. And like my wife has overheard the conversations, and she's like, you guys are messed up. And I'm like, well, it's just more. I was like, there's nothing serious about it. We just have to he's got to get it off his chest. I'm a great sounding board, and I can play off of it. And I, you know, and the thing is with
because you know where he's going with it.
Exactly, and we can just have fun with it. I mean, we make so many just dumb jokes about it, but it's the way you just deal with things, and like you know, like when you have anything going on in your life, and
because it's an awful thing. Instead of sitting there in a room pounding a bottle of whiskey thinking about it, or doing whatever it is that's probably unhealthy to cope with it, you call a friend and you know, fuck around and joke about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's just like, so you couldn't just swallow that shit and just keep that inside. But, you know, that would, you know, that'd probably kill somebody.
It was funny. I didn't know that the guy you're talking about, he works with my cousin doing that.
Nice.
And we were talking. I was like, I'm not gonna say anything, but you know how I'm talking about. And I was like, really? I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea they worked together.
Yeah.
Doing that of all things.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's been some like weird like 4 a.m. phone calls. You know, I'm like, hello, and it's just like, I just had this weirdest pickup, and I'm like, all right, go for it. You know, and you just hear like a horror story, and I'm like, all right, well, you know, hey, you know, guess you won't be eating spaghetti for a while, like, you know. But it's just like but you know, he's got to go home to his wife and kids. And
anybody else, you would have told him to call you tomorrow.
Yeah, but like that's a situation. Like, all right, yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this. Like, you know, but like, just you have to. That's how you decompress.
Because that's a rough job.
Oh yeah, I couldn't do it.
That's especially for the price. That's a hard sell. To get someone to do that.
Yeah.
But
you think they'd pay more?
Someone's got to do it. The police, you know.
Yeah. It's there's some things like, you know, I'm thankful that I have a job I don't have to do crap like that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I do crazy shit, and luckily I know how to be safe. But I mean, a lot of people have died doing electrical work.
Oh yeah.
So I'm real mindful.
Oh yeah.
Of what I'm doing.
Yeah, I worked for an electrician. Well, he was a contractor, and when I was 14 up in New York, and he was renovating these apartment buildings, and he needed some just labor to come do things, and I knew a little bit about. I can wire some stuff, and I was like, oh, you know, hey, I come up there, and I'm like, you know, pounding out these old old plaster and the lath and all that stuff underneath.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
I hate dealing with
that shit. And then I just look over at the guy. I'm like, all right, man, can you give me a wire tester so I can see if any of these things are live? And he starts laughing at me. He's like, what do you mean a wire tester? He's like, they're on your hands. And I'm like, oh man.
No, that's when he must be just fucking with you. Yeah. Was he serious?
Oh, he was dead serious. He's like, no man, that's how we do it. He's like, just use the back of your hand and see if those wires are live. I'm like, this is nuts.
The worst case scenario, I'll just touch the hot to neutral.
Mm-hmm. Just see if it pops. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I didn't last long in that. I was like, all right, this guy's just not gonna.
He's just a lunatic.
And he's trying to save money. He's just like, I don't have the right tools. I don't have the right people. I'm just going to try to get these things flipped and getting out of here.
And that's sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, down to like the little things.
Yeah.
Because I run a van for an electric company, so I gotta like it doesn't matter if one of my helpers fucks up. It's my house, like it's on me.
Yeah.
And like even down to the little shit, like when they hang a box for a ceiling fan, if it's fucked up, it's like I'm like, the way I look at it, picture your grandmother would be sleeping underneath this ceiling fan.
Mm-hmm.
Would you leave it like that?
Yeah.
And I was like, make sure, it's just down to the little shit like that.
Oh yeah.
I got to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird. I don't know how I because I've done I've been in like drama and theater my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And Cordero.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Me and him did all 4 years together in high school in theater class.
Nice.
And we would do like every fucking sketch together. It seemed like it was funny, and it was like when I saw him doing stand up, I was like, what I did was kick myself, and I was like, why didn't I should have just started the same time he did. Mm-hmm. But that's fucking awesome what he's doing.
Oh yeah. But you start when you start. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like, it's like, I mean, yeah, could I have started? I lived in New York for 25 years. Could I have started up there and been, but I think I started exactly when I had to start. It's because you look back at it like, could I have started when I was 17 in New York? Hell yeah. But, where would I be at this point?
That's why I don't trip on it, because I do the same thing. I'm like, yeah, if I started comedy at 18, 19, I was doing all kinds of crazy shit to earn a living. Mm-hmm. And I probably would have burned every bridge, and no one would have liked me in the comedy community. Because I just looked at everyone as a possibility to make $1 off of at that time. So it's a good thing. This was probably the best time I could have ever started comedy realistically in my life.
Yeah, I mean that's it's like it's funny because I get to have that. I can look back now because I saw when Cordero started. I saw when Wills started, and a lot of these guys that are now doing it for a while and doing really well, and it's like, it's great to watch these guys do, where they started and where they are, and it kind of gives me some reflection of like, you've been here for a while, you've done things, it's not that, not that I have any, huge, thing that I can be like, yeah, I did this, but I've been out there, I've been doing it, and, fairly steady, I can hold my own when it comes down to telling a joke at a place. I can keep people entertained.
Right. That's really the main thing of it. It's keeping the room entertained, keeping their attention. It's anybody can be funny at a party or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's why I tell people, like, oh, I can do what you do. I say, well, come out to the open mic.
Yeah. That's the most incredible thing that happens in comedy is that, like, you get off stage and someone comes up, hey man, that was really great. How do I get on? And you're like, oh man, don't try to sell me you. Yeah. Like, just come say thank you. Hey, great job, and then get out of here. Like, I don't. You don't go up to like a movie star and be like, hey man, I really liked you in that movie. How do I do that, man? Like, come on, man. Right. Like, it's just like ridiculous stuff, and I'm just like. These people all the time, like, how do I get on the show? Like, I've had people come up to me like, next week, can I just come and do my jokes on your show? I'm like, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, I don't even know you. There's been a few times, and I let my cousin work the door, and I had to kind of get on him. He's just some random fucking guy that came to the show, and, fast talked to him a little bit, and he was like, why don't you just let him go up and do 5 minutes? I was like, because fuck no. Yeah. Like, I'm selling. Well, first I'm selling tickets for this, like,
yeah,
like what?
Yeah,
like what are you?
Yeah,
were you crazy?
Yeah,
like I don't know this motherfucker.
Well, that's like why I tell people all the time. I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for showcase sets, and then people all the time are like, well, I've done it twice. And I'm like, where have you done it twice? They're like, oh, I've been at the Bar Czar, or I did it here in that place, and I'm like, okay, well, keep doing that for a while. Like, you got, do you have a tape? And it's like. No, and it's something like, come on, guys, like, right. I don't, there's a difference between, like, I don't mind, if I had an open mic, great.
That's why I opened up an open mic, because I've had And I'm talking to a lot of you motherfuckers that have sent me messages that have said, I want to try stand-up comedy. I want to try stand-up comedy. I want to try stand-up. I was like, okay. A lot of people hit me up. So I said, okay, I'll do the open mic. It's good I'll do it free. You know, anybody wants to come. It's good for the guy that runs it because a lot of people are buying drinks.
Right.
He was happy with it. All that shit. And it was just like a few local comics came. I was like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's because they see you have a paid show and you've cultivated an audience and you've cultivated talent and they're entertained and they're hyped. It's like when you leave an action film, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna have a heist. I'm gonna go fucking rob a bank because you see that.
or like a Rocky movie, and it's like I'm gonna get back in the gym.
Yeah,
it's like no, you're not.
You can't even walk around the block, dumbass. Like I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. So but that's the thing is they think they see that and that's the glory of things and it's great. It's like anybody could go and watch a Netflix special and a comedian and be like, that's amazing.
He wasn't that funny. I'm way funnier than him.
Yeah, and I'm just like, go ahead, you do that. Yeah, like you see how much work goes into that stuff, and people don't know how hard it is to start a joke, realize that some of the words aren't working,
keep the attention, people's attention span.
Yeah, and then going in and like trimming out words and replacing it with other words that you think are funnier, and it's like you got all this. There's so much going.
Keeping that same enthusiasm every time you tell that joke, because you're going to tell it a lot to tweak it and fine tune it.
Oh yeah. And people think they could just like, oh, I thought of this idea and it's going to be an instant joke.
A polished finish.
Yeah, like
ready to go on Netflix, as they say.
Very rare does that happen. Like you're going to have to go in and dissect that whole entire thing, and then like, working on like. People think, oh, you're like when you get to finally figure out a set and you get a call back in your set, and like people are like, oh, you know how long it took to link those up together or find the right wording so like people catch that you're talking about something that you talked about earlier, like
because a lot of these jokes that I would say are like showcase jokes have originated from a mushroom trip, a traumatic experience, like where they're rooted from. A lot of you don't even want to go there.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, like I'm a storyteller, so everything that's happened in my life ends up on stage.
I'm the same way.
So like in my vows at my wedding, I told my wife, I'm like, most of the stuff that we did, most of the things will end up on stage, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and that was in our vows. Like it's gonna. Like, there's nothing that you can hide.
That's why I don't need marriage counseling, and that's why I don't cheat on you, and that's why I don't have a drinking problem. It's because I do this, and this is what keeps balance in my life.
Yeah. It's funny is because she'll see me getting anxious at home, and or I'm just getting frustrated, and she'll just look at me, she'll be like, is there like an open mic or a show you can do? And I'm like, that's when I know I'm getting on her nerves. Because awesome. She's like, is there like some kind of comedy you can sign up for? I'm like, I got you. And I'm like, all right, let me get out of the house. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, because she's like, it's just like a mood stabilizer for me.
Yeah, it's something that, like I said, I haven't been doing it long. Like I said, it'll be 2 years in July. But, like I said, it's come easy for me because I've been on stage all my life.
Right.
And I'm just used to it.
Yeah. That seems to be a big thing is people who've performed before, that's easy for them to step into that, getting back on, like doing stage for comedy is just the same because you don't have the stage fright. Like that's the hardest thing I think for normal people, right? People that don't have that, like I'm not used to having people's attention on me.
And I still forget to take the mic and put it out of the way. Yeah. And it's little stuff like that. There's a lot to it.
Oh yeah, and like people don't realize like how much it takes, like just your gestures and just the timing of like, do you hold this and then say something?
Yeah.
And how much different that can make, and then just the way you word things. Like Blair, the woman who gave me the Gruff Goat show. She was awesome because she would look for words that were funny sounding words like zip and zop and just different things like that but like, things with different kinds of sounds to it. And like, she would literally go through the same joke, but like you just replace a word in it and then see which worked best. And then then once she said, okay, then that's the way I say the joke. And you're like, it's pretty genius, and it's not easy to do that.
There's like it's almost a science to
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's why like I hate when people say this, that stand-up comedy isn't an art, because it is.
You have to be okay with being terrible at this job to get good at this job.
Yeah.
And that's the worst part about it. It's like, because they don't do, like, you can't just be a pilot. You can't just sign up for an open pilot, Mike.
Yeah,
you're just like, I'm flying this plane.
What job, especially when you look at any job that when you get to the top of their field makes millions of dollars, you can just get pushed into, and that's how you start.
Yeah.
Like you just...
Yeah. You're in front of an audience from day one with comedy. And it may not be the biggest audience in the beginning, but you literally have to think on your feet. You have to be involved in that process and understanding that.
And it has to be yours.
Yeah. You can't
every time.
Yeah.
Not some of the time. Yeah. Not half the time. It has to be yours all of the time.
Yeah. Like that's one of my favorite things. Is like, I when I go to a bar and I see like, oh, there's a guy with a guitar singing, and he's singing like cover songs, and you're just like,
it's not the same.
But I'm like, like that guy has got the life. I'm singing somebody else's song. I just read out his lyrics, and I'm going through, and you're like, it's like, but then it's like comic comes up, and you're like, oh, it's totally different. You can't be a cover comedian. Like I can't be like, hi, I'm gonna do Jim Gaffigan today. Like
some guy can't go. Some decent looking guy can't go up there and do a few Chappelle jokes and get laid that night. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You'll get called out. Just like that.
You'd be so surprised when you're sitting at an open mic.
Oh man!
How many times people go up and you're like, oh, that is word for word a Dave Attell bit.
I'll call somebody out.
Oh yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Oh yeah.
That's something I'm adamant about.
Yeah. I mean, but it happens, and it's like people think that nobody else knows a joke, and I'm just like, I mean, I've been a fan of comedy since I was 6 years old.
Yeah, I've been watching stand up since I was a child.
Yeah, so there's very few comics that I don't know or have heard of. Like that is
this is funny. I want to say when I got my tonsils removed, I was in the waiting room at the waiting, and I had my portable DVD player. I mean, that puts a date to it. I have a portable DVD player, and I was watching the Blue Collar Comedy Tour when it first came out on DVD.
Oh yeah.
And like I went through the Dane Cook, and I watched now that I'm on the spot thinking about it, I know almost 100 comics at the Comedy Central, like 20-minute or half hour. It used to be called. I used to watch it all the time. It came on Comedy Central. They would do like the
half-hour specials. Yeah.
But they had it on there for a while. I remember watching it as a kid, and I don't know, because I actually can look back. That's why, like, to a lot of the people that are really close to me, it makes sense. Why I'm doing this.
I remember. Because 100 years older than you, so like I remember like I used to love summertime because obviously there was no bedtime at that point. You're done. When you're out of school as a kid, you're like, oh, bedtime's. But when I was growing up, there was on Fox. There used to be this. It was the Comic Strip Live. And it was literally a comedy showcase on Fox, and it was like comics doing like 5-10 minute sets, and I saw comics that now are huge, like, and then you had even on A&E there was Evening at the Improv, and it was a bunch of these comics, and then at the time, Rodney Dangerfield was still alive. That's how. So like. He had his young comedian special that would come on there. That's how Sam Kinison.
He had his own club.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Dangerfield. Yeah. But I mean, that's how. I mean, Sam Kinison was one of my first like.
Did you watch the? And I'm sure you have. Did you watch the Comedy Store documentary?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's dude. That's I've watched it twice.
Yeah. But it's like, but those are great because when I was a kid, like that's what I knew. And then HBO had all the specials. I mean, so like I mean, my dad was a huge fan of comedy. So like when I grew up, like he was a Sam Kinison fan. He's a Carlin fan, and like I got to see Carlin live, and that like one of the best things I ever did in my life is seeing him live.
Because that's on. I mean, of course, it's arguably because a lot of people can debate it. That he's on my Mount Rushmore of comics.
Yep.
For me personally, hands down, Carlin's on my Rushmore.
Yeah, and
it's Pryor and Chappelle. The fourth one,
who's your fourth one?
That could rotate.
Yeah, just moves around. Well, it's a pattern. You taste change.
The fourth one's tough. I would guess right now would be Tim Dillon.
Okay. And did you see him when he was down here? Did you see him when he came to the?
No, I didn't.
He was phenomenal. He was.
I bet he was. He's my favorite right now.
And he's just so pissed off and angry, and it's fucking perfect. And he just does it so well.
I actually subscribe to his Patreon. I mean, it's the best $5 I've ever spent in my life.
Well, if you get to see him live, you're going to enjoy it. I got to open for him. It was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, so
my god!
It was me.
You got to open for Tim Dillon.
Yeah, I think it was me and Bridget
awesome.
Callahan. We opened for him.
Wow.
So it was a lot of fun. He's a nice dude.
That's awesome.
But there's that's the thing. That's the best part about being.
The last 2 years he has blown up, and he deserves it. He's fucking hilarious.
Well, that's the best part about being here in Wilmington is you can be in Raleigh and there's a ton of comics that they can pull to try to get open for him. And like here in Wilmington, thankfully it's not that big. I mean, yes, you can get an opportunity to open for someone like I've opened for Tim Dillon. I hosted for Jim Gaffigan when he came through here. Like Are these people I should be opening or doing anything with? Hell no. I shouldn't be probably cleaning their toilets. But the fact that, we do have an independent club that, allows us to do that is fantastic. And like, it could be shitty. It could be shitty. It's not. Like, thankfully, like Timmy and Cole and all them, like they're so cool with like
they care.
Yeah,
too.
But they want you to do other shows. They're not like, hey, don't do a show because we have a comedy club. No, they encourage us because it only makes what they can pull from better.
That's what, actually there's been a lot of people I've been talking to this about. I was like, it's not even on any competitive shit.
Yeah.
I was just saying they love it.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, it gets people interested, and then, the amount of people that found
they're comic friendly.
Well, that's it, and then how many people have come to like the Gruff Goat and be like, wow, this is really great, and I'm like, did you know that there was a comedy club in town? They're like, I had no idea, and you're like, well, you should go there and check it out. Like, if you like this, you're gonna love that, and it's like, and then they come back and they're like, hey, I went to Dead Crow, I loved it, but they're still coming to my show. It's not like they're gonna take it away from anybody else. It's like it's just different experience, and Timmy's done my show. Timmy goes do all the other shows,
and that's the big thing of I've done Ellie's shows. I've done Sean's shows. I've done your shows, and once in a while our shows will butt heads. That happens when you all do show. Chris does his own shows. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out.
He said he was going to leave you out. He told me that before the podcast started. He said,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out. I know you do
shows.
But like even if our shows butt heads, it's no big deal.
And that's the thing. It's only going to make.
Because we all do each other's shows. It is what it is.
Right, and that's the thing. And honestly, that's a lot of things. And it's funny we talk about Carlin and people say like he completely changed who he was. He was the hippy dippy weatherman to who George Carlin is now.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people say he probably wouldn't have been as good as he was if he didn't get into tax trouble because he literally had to pay back the tax guy. So he had to tour. He just busted his ass doing a bunch of tours.
And if you do anything all the time,
and that's you get better at it.
You can't help it.
Yeah, and it's like, well, thank God you got into tax trouble. I mean, but I mean, great because what the specials that he's done. That I mean, you watch him and you realize how much of a wordsmith he was about the way he did things, and I got to see him do
that's from touring, getting crisp at it.
So I got to see him in a small theater upstate New York. There was this little theater called oh my god, I can't even remember the name of it, but it was in Sugarloaf, New York. There's this tiny little theater that he used to do like warm-up gigs before he would do his big New York gigs.
Oh, okay.
And that's where I got to see him, and it was phenomenal. Like, you wouldn't even, like, I couldn't even have told you, said, hey, this was like a warm-up gig. Like,
he does the same show every time.
It was awesome.
That's awesome. I'm gonna try one of these quesadillas.
Yeah, go for it, man. You got like a whole spread out here.
Yeah, man. You know, there's actually, I'm gonna get a plate because I'm not an animal.
So you lived here your whole life?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born and raised here.
You're the one.
Yeah. All my family's here too. Unfortunately. It can be a bit much.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, that's the way family is, right?
But it's cool.
Yeah, you get annoyed with them, and then eventually you get away from them, and then you go, oh, I really miss those motherfuckers.
That's the cool thing about living on your own. Like, if I'm at like a family function, I get pissed off, I can just leave.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I can just leave.
To go.
Like, I don't even have to, like, the cool thing about my family, you don't have to be around the bush. Like, like, all right, motherfucker, I'll see you at Easter or whatever. Like, I'm tired of your shit.
Yeah.
But luckily, we can talk to each other like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's the only way you got to be able to talk is honestly and open. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if you're hiding bullshit, you're pulling the punches.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not mean to anybody. I'm just a matter of fact of how everything is.
Yeah.
When do you think Dead Crow's gonna open? Here in a couple months?
I hope so. I think I think they're really I think they're really doing it right. I think they're making sure that everything is going to be good when they open and they're ready to go. I mean, I think they had, with everything with changing locations and things like that. That's a big tough thing, but yeah, I think in the next couple months, I wouldn't be surprised if we started seeing some things pop up in the future in the warmer months.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I can't wait to get back to doing there.
Oh, dude, you have no idea.
Yeah,
that's they're like I said, they're doing it right.
Yeah,
they're not rushing to open because I mean they're going to do a restaurant and do it full time now. From what I gather.
I think the plans kind of changed up since I mean they were supposed to be open in that new location 2 Aprils ago.
Really?
Yeah, I mean they were the last Cape Fear Comedy Festival was supposed to be the headline was supposed to happen at that new venue.
Damn.
So like you think about that and you see where they are now and it's like hey things happen and you just roll with the punches and like then you get the whole pandemic thing going on, so do you change courses? Like I know maybe they weren't going to do a restaurant, maybe they will do a restaurant. So it's it's kind of like you've got to literally, what can you do to make sure that you're ready to go?
And like I said, this is all hearsay.
Yeah.
From people that I would I would think would know.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be pretty cool.
No, I'd be excited to see them open the doors. I mean, they've done so much. I mean, just Timmy and Cole have been so good to the comics. I mean, just the fact that like when Nut Street closed, it was a heartbreaker. I don't know if have you ever been to Nut Street when it was open?
It was funny. Whenever I started comedy, like I said, I've loved comedy my whole life, but I've never seen a live show. Never, not once.
Really?
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. No, that's that's the amazing thing is when it was Nut Street, it was here we are in the basement of the building. Above it was the Soapbox Laundry Lounge, which is now a fucking Waffle House, which is depressing as fuck. But
I love it.
It was this downstairs basement club, and the seats were the old Thalian Hall theater seats.
Now that's pretty cool.
That were just laid out in there, and it was. I don't know. It just the place was magic, and maybe it was just the fact that that's where I started. Maybe it seemed so magical, but like you know, here we were, just a bunch of like ragtag idiots, and like it just became like a place. I mean, I got to see Trevor Noah at Nut Street
before
this is when he first came to the United States. Literally 2 or 3 weeks before he ended up on Jay Leno, that for the first time he was in the States, he was at Nut Street, and I'm like, I watched him do these fantastic bits, and you're just like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, you know, like now I look back, I'm like, that's the host of the Daily Show right there, and like, you know, he was like, you know, I'm just like, Christ, like that's amazing, like that, you know, the people that I've seen come through that, you know, it's just one of those things. You're just like, how did that happen? And then like the fact that when it closed, it was devastating, and then like Timmy didn't give up.
That's how I feel about the crow that was. Like, that's where I started.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm always going to have some sort of emotional attachment to it.
Yeah. And that like, was, you know, like, thankfully Timmy didn't give up. And, like, I mean, we were at the Real Cafe, thanks to the owners at Real. Like, John and Ray, you know, they kept us, like, up in the second floor of the Real Cafe for almost a year. And we've done things at level 5 at the time it was level 5. It's the theater up there for a while. I mean, so we kicked around until they opened up the, you know, Dead Crow, and which was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, to have that, and then, you know, to have now a third location, and each time it gets bigger and better, and that's what makes me excited about this.
So that's what I kind of gathered, that it's gonna be pretty nice.
Yeah, I just think when you able to put more. When you have more seats, you can sell more tickets. That means you can get another level of comics, and not that Dead Crow and Nut Street didn't get really. I mean,
there's been like every weekends in a row, and like there's been, I mean, celebrities.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, the fact that they now can go to that next level of being able to sell more tickets and have more seats, like that's, I think it's going to help them, you know, and I think it's going to bring better comics and bigger comics that can do things, and I think it's just going to be great for comics like us, because their open mic when they did it at Nut Street on Thursdays was ridiculous. I remember they used to have to turn people away from the door, and then when we went to Dead Crow, and same thing. Like
that's what a lot of people have told me. They were like, not many people get to start comedy at an open mic with 100 fucking people.
Yeah.
Crowd.
Like that, and that's the thing. It's like
I've been very spoiled when I started.
Yeah, when you
But
start comedy,
I did earn my fucking stripes. I've done shows with 2 people in the audience, and both of them fucking hated me. I've done a lot of those shows.
I did a showcase set where everybody, including the other comics, basically walked out of the room like before I even started. And the only person was working there, and they were cleaning the counters. And at one point, like, I just kind of paused between 2 of my bits, and she went, "If you want to just stop, and you know, you can. You don't have to keep going." And I was just like,
oh no!
And I was just like, I'm gonna keep going, because I felt like I felt so crappy at that point, and I'm like, this is what I want this is what I want to do a career, and this is what it's come down to.
That's why I've been at a lot of shows where I've seen people bomb, and I'm like, oh no, I've invited people here.
Yeah.
But I guess you gotta be a little crazy, because the thought of quitting never really, I mean, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna suck. But this isn't going to be the best, but the thought of quitting never crossed my mind.
The only thing I would just tell anybody, just hang on to your day job as long as possible, because everybody has this like, oh my God, it's going to pay, and I'm just going to, no, you're going to be eating shit for a long, long time.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I still eat shit.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily I figured out a way to make money off doing this and doing, stand up a little bit. I mean, that's why I still got my day job.
Yeah.
I mean, not anything to support myself, but.
No, I mean, I think that's
all right.
That's everybody's dream, you know, but, you know, it's tough.
I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is you would honestly think of that, like most comics, they spend 50 weeks out of the year not at home, because they're traveling to get to somewhere to go do a show.
And a lot of the time, it's not New York City.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
It's fucking bumfuck Nebraska.
Yeah, and they're doing like
for a honky tonk.
They're doing a Thursday night show, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday, sometimes Sunday shows, and then they're flying back home. But if not, they're flying to the next location to, you know, to hopefully get a one-nighter between something else.
Imagine bombing the first night.
No, just no.
And then and then the one God.
Yeah.
Like I said, you gotta want it.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, you know, when you get a club date, when you're like, even just at Dead Crow, and you know, if you got a weekend and you're opening for somebody, you're doing 4 shows.
Yeah.
And you realize how much energy you use in set 1. Now you got to figure out that energy for set 2, and then like. Now, you know, the next day you're hungover because you're probably partying your face off.
You know, because you're hanging out, because most of the time the headliner is probably one of your fucking idols.
Yep.
So you're going to stay out as late as possible to hang out and party with them or whatever, and then, you're going to be hungover and you're not going to have it all, but you better fucking figure it out.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, but you think, I mean, that's doing a, 10, 15-minute set. You know, can you imagine... You're the one doing 45 minutes to an hour. Like, that's like literally you just worked out, then you're going to hang out, watch some other people go up for a little bit, and then you're going to go do another workout in front of people. Again.
Right.
You know, you're doing that multiple times a week, and you know, after a while, you're just like, it gets you.
Because you can't do it off, like, and that's what I noticed, about the presidential race. Like, I'm 28-year-old healthy-ish. You know, adult, and you know, I work. You know, I have 2 jobs. You know, what I do during the day, and then this, and you know, sometimes I need a little something to put a little pep in my step.
Right.
And these are 80-year-old men.
Yeah.
And they run on 4 hours of sleep and or 2 hours of sleep. There's no way they're not doing some kind of drugs. Like you're
every morning, and the
mind.
president wakes up and just. Inject them with something. And
they got to be. The human body can't run that hard, especially as old and just as all the fucking bodies that they got on their conscience. Like they can't do it. Yeah. And like so, it's doing that all day and every day, and it catches up with you.
Oh, yeah. You know, but you know that's the dream. That's the dream of doing it.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you look at that and you're like, oh, it'd be really nice to be, you know. That guy, and you're like, but you know, you realize when you put the math together, and you're like, oh, so they're never home. They, you know, they have a wife and kids, and they never see them. Or
the cool thing about this is that there's levels to this shit.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of levels to this shit. Like what I'm doing is okay. I want to do. Obviously, I want to do better. I want to be able to quit my day job. That's the goal. Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, it'd be cool to have a Netflix special, but I don't care if it doesn't happen. Right. I just want to be able to live comfortable and just do that as a job.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you also have to realize it's like what, like.
But the odds are it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but you put your special out, and now you have to start over because everybody's seen those jokes, and now you have to. Because you can't go and be the cover comedian and just keep doing the same. I mean, look, there might have been years that some comics did it for years. I mean, there's comics that are on the road 20, 30 years doing the same act.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Once, because I'm doing my first 20. April 2nd. I'm opening for or not opening for. I'm co-headlining. I don't know if I said that. I'm co-headlining with a rap group that, speaking of you opened for some big people, they did a song. I don't know if you've ever heard of their rap group. You ever heard of DaBaby? He was nominated for a Grammy this past year. Okay. I mean, he's pretty. That's awesome. He's actually like really popular. Like I know who he is. He's really popular. And they did a song with him 2 years ago, right before he blew up. Nice. And he's from Charlotte also. Nice. And these 2 guys are from Russell Beach or Wilmington. Okay. And they're gonna co-headline it with me.
That's awesome.
So doing the being able to get the VFW every other week, I have full creative control to do whatever I want to.
That's great.
And,
Are you getting good audiences there and stuff?
Yeah, it's fantastic especially for COVID.
Yeah.
I've had the only rough one I had was the open mic. Not many, but every showcase, every ticketed event, a lot of people have come out.
Good.
It's been good.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Is sometimes people get an opportunity, and how do you push it to get it to be the right way, and how do you get people in there and make it successful? And a lot of times people get frustrated, and they just think they have to do it on their own. And they don't ask for help. Like, hey, I got this showcase. How can I get this? How can I do this? How can I do this better? My thing is like I look at what I have, and I luck out because I can. It's a free show for Gruff Goat, for me. So my audience is not paying money to come into the door, which is great because that's always a great incentive. But I'll tell you, at the end of the show, I always say, hey, I got this tip jar, and every single time it's full. Like, I've not had a point where it's not, where people have not put money in that.
I think I make probably the same amount on tips than I do ticket sales.
Yeah.
Which the people at VFW tip really well.
Yeah, and
they
that's
really,
the things.
They really enjoy it.
And that's where you tell comics, comics sometimes that's the biggest thing. How do I make sure that I have enough money to pay?
That's the one thing I'm very adamant about. I want to make sure everybody drinks for free, and I want to make sure I put some money in everybody's hand. That's always a big thing for me.
And like I always tell comics, I'm like, until you have the money.
The damn mosquito hawk got in here. Son of a bitch! I should have shut that big door.
I always tell comics, I'm like, don't start a show until you have enough money to pay your comics, because the day you rely on the money to come through the door to pay your comics, you're gonna fuck yourself. And I tell people all the time, just make sure you have the money that you're paying everybody. Make sure you can pay your comics. Make sure you can tip the staff if you have staff, and then at that point, anything you make from the show that goes back into your next show.
That's the one thing I do. I make sure the bartender, since he's not making anybody pay, I make sure I tip him well. The door guy working the tickets, I make sure I take care. I make sure I take care of him first of all, because that's his Friday night.
Yeah,
and he's just sitting there. I mean, he gets to see a show, but that's his Friday night.
Yeah, no, that's the important thing, and then you have to look at your audience, and some audiences are not willing to part with $5 to gamble on something going to be good. But a lot of times, people may come in for free, and at the end tip you $10 instead of the $5. And, and that's the thing is if you're putting out a quality product, and that's why I think for me, like that's why I keep mine a showcase, because I really want to make sure that at the end of it, these people are excited to reach into the wallet and give me a little bit of money.
Yeah.
I don't want people, leaving and being pissed off that they paid $10 at the door and gonna get a $10, so that's where you really gotta like juggle those things, and just, sometimes venues might say, hey, we have a budget. What do you, and I always tell people, go in and ask what they pay their cover bands, because a cover band comes in, they'll do 4 or 5 hours, and maybe they pay them $400, $500.
Yeah.
And just tell them, hey, I can't cover that much time. I can give me 2 hours and give me $250. And from that point, you can build a show. You can get a local headliner. You can get a couple openers, and you put on the show, and then ask them if it's okay for you to do some tips. And there you go. You've seeded yourself with that money already. Yeah. And you've paid your people, and you can do all that stuff, and and you just have to weigh it out. And I think it just comes down to people understanding that, and like, and sometimes, looking at the books and just saying, hey, we're not paying, we're not charging tickets, or, maybe I can get a percentage of the bar, or how much bar sales are, and like things like that, to make sure you have something to walk away with, because, you also don't want to lose, lose your ass, that's the hard thing,
That's the one thing it's fun. I love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized a while back, this is also a business.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up with dick.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm always trying to find a way to, make shit work.
Right.
And I like doing this. I'm all right at doing a stand up. You know, I haven't been doing it that long. You know, of course I'm gonna get better as the longer I do it. But I figured this is a business just like anything else.
Yeah.
And I felt like there was a blind spot there.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people were doing, besides your show and maybe a few others, a lot of people were just doing stand up for nothing.
Right.
And I was like, fuck that. You know, the bartender gets paid. Everyone gets paid for it, but us. We're entertaining people.
Right.
We're bringing people in, buying y'all shitty beer.
Yeah.
And that's what why I started doing the shows and shit like I really, this is a business. You know, I can make money doing this.
Well, that's it. If you can bring a good product to somebody.
That's why I work. That's why I work hard doing this and shit. Just people get familiar, and especially a lot of people my age and younger. That's why I sell tickets. People like shit that's exclusive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I know how to market that good.
Yeah.
And I know how to, target people to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And otherwise, I'm also learning.
Yeah.
I don't know it all.
That's it.
Like I said, I might be doing it the wrong way. I'll find out.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, hey, if it's working for you now, and that's the thing is you try things and tweak it and see what works, what doesn't work.
I'm not scared to fail.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Yeah. You wouldn't be in comedy if you did,
Because you fail more times, especially at the
fail.
beginning.
Yeah, there's a lot of fucking fail.
God, especially at the beginning. You fail way more times than you succeed. Mm-hmm. That's a fact.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's so many jokes that are just on a bar napkin shoved in a drawer somewhere in my house, there's another idea that I thought was going to work, but just shit the bed. So
there's I always have my notebook with me, but if I don't have it on me and I think of something, I can't tell you how many fucking times I've thought of something good, didn't write it down, didn't jot it down, and lost it.
Oh yeah, there's so many notes in my car, in my phone, sure. Like this spread of food, tequila and beer. I mean,
I don't do this for when I have it. When I remember, sometimes I'll put it together a little bit. Like I said, I had a big ass plate of wings one episode, and we ate like one. That's what usually happens. Mm-hmm. You want a lime?
Sure.
Yeah, we got way more food than we needed.
Yeah. Cheers, brother. Buddy. My wife is going to laugh when she sees this because I never do tequila. My wife
It's not an everyday thing for me either.
It's funny.
You know what's funny? I went to the liquor store, and I usually get bourbon. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I got tequila today, but I got to the house and then wasn't even planning on it. Went to go get tacos today, and it just worked out. It's Taco Tuesday.
You didn't know, but your body knew.
Yeah, it's been a while. It was perfect.
So how many episodes you got into this podcast now?
This is number 23.
23.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, it's weird. The only reason I started was COVID. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Because for a time we couldn't do stand up, we couldn't do anything. We could go to the bars, so I brought it here. Basically, I had Sean and John. It was just a few of my comic buddies,
right?
And it just kind of took off from there.
Yeah. What do you think of the Wilmington comedy scene? Like, I know you're kind of fairly new to it. Like, what's your take on it? What's your pros? What's your cons?
I knew it is a little cliquey. Mm-hmm. When I was a Dead Crow, especially, maybe not as much now, mm-hmm. with the ones I'm around now, but it was really cliquey. you know, you had when you go in, you had the table in the back.
Yep.
Everybody hung out, and I was never invited. I'm not sore about that. I was new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know how many? You know how many people they saw come in and out? You know how many new people? Probably thousands.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's.
So I didn't trip on it.
I mean, I think that's going to be any scene when you're new, just trying to get in there. I mean, I remember when I started Nut Street, people didn't talk to me at all. Like, people would walk away when I came up to try to talk to them. I was just like, all right. So I just had to just keep showing up.
Luckily, I never got it. I never got it that bad.
Yeah. Well, that you think of that as a 32-year-old. You're like, son of a bitch. Like, just
I thought it was over this.
And I'm gonna go jump in the river. God damn it.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I have had that happen before, and it's just like, especially as an adult, it's like, damn it, I thought this was over. I thought high school was over.
No, it's not over. Like, you know, and it's and like I had always thought I was like kind of like, oh, you know, I'll try to be welcoming to people because it was shitty for me, and then after a while, I'm like, I'm just tired of these I'm tired like, you know, you get this new person that just like trying bits on you, and you're like, I just want to have I just want to have a conversation. Can we have a conversation with you?
I hate that.
And I'm just like, I don't want to hear what you're trying right now. Let's use that on stage. I just want to talk about my shitty day.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I think every comic starts, you smoke 100 packs of cigarettes in the back, and you're bumming cigarettes from everybody for a while. That's always just
I hate
like
that because I always got smokes on me because I smoke all the time.
Right.
And I was thinking about doing like a little cigarette hustle out back. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna tell people I ain't got one. I ain't got one because that's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
Here's your tip. I got this from somebody.
What you need to do is keep a basic empty pack with just one cigarette in it.
I don't even do that because I don't give a fuck.
So when
I just tell them I just tell them I got this from someone. If someone says prove it, I'm gonna say excuse me.
Yeah. But no, that's like the thing. It's like people just like, you know, and look, I've been there. I bummed them.
Yeah.
You know, I bummed them. I had them for a while. You know, and it's like
I'm not gonna go into it because it might sound bad. It's just where I grew up at.
Right.
Everyone where I grew up at, everyone on the street asked if you got a cigarette, and I got used to being like, no, man.
Yeah.
Like, nah.
Yep.
And I just keep walking. I have to explain myself. No.
Yep. No, it's just funny. It's like that's how it, you know. It's
it just doesn't bother me.
All the beginning of that is just hanging out and smoking cigarettes, getting drunk off of PBRs, and then you're freaking.
You got $1, you got a cigarette. That's all I heard growing up, like a fucking broken record. Everybody that walked the street, you got $1, you got a cigarette. So yeah, I'm used to just being like, nah.
Yeah. So other than the clickiness, what else?
But
else that you like or dislike or?
For the most part, I really enjoy it. I mean, I get along with everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, even the people, like, I don't hate anybody. Yeah. Even, I mean, in or outside of comedy, I don't hate anybody.
Right. No, there's just people that just not going to be your buddies.
Yeah, and I just don't talk to them. I just don't hang out with them. I don't, you know, make a big deal about it. I don't have any quote unquote beefs with anybody.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have a true beef in comedy. I mean, it's really.
I think you can. I think it'd be hilarious.
No, because it's like dumb. Like, what's gonna happen? We're gonna fucking bitch slap fight. Like,
I mean, it would be funny if I got into one, but it'd be funny to watch other people get into one.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen comics almost come to blows, and I'm like,
I just grew up different. Yeah. I'd hurt one of these motherfuckers. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. No,
because I was talking to a few of the guys I work with and shit like that. There aren't too many manly men in comedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it would be really funny. It would be a really aggressive Twitter war.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's all just like everybody just thinks their idea is different and better, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny like that.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me. Shit, I have a lot of friends that agree completely different.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing about comedy is just being open for whatever and being ready to just go, because, you know, there's been, you know, you're gonna be on stage one night and you're gonna realize you're not
This is not your crowd.
It's not your crowd. You're gonna have to pivot, and how do you pivot hard? And
Bombers was like that for me.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
a lot of them were like an uppity
mm-hmm.
crowd, and like I grew up poor, fucking with just my mom in the house.
Right.
You know? So like I just could not relate to them at all.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot relate to me at all.
Right.
Where they were just like, what's a penny? It's like,
yeah. I mean, you get, and that's the thing is, how do you find things that are relatable between whatever you're at, and how do you get there, and just how do you make it absurd enough to make them laugh and have fun with it?
And that's one thing I don't like to talk like I'm above the crowd or anybody like that. You know, like I feel like I'm on the same level, which sometimes that gets me in trouble. You know, I get any amount of fucking weird ass messages on social media. Like I understand like what like girls go through. Like when you get all these, thank God.
So you're just opening up dick pics.
I was just about to say, thank God. I
sent my podcast again. I got all these dick pics showing up here. Like, dick. All this dick.
It's like a dick kaleidoscope.
Now this guy's gonna try to walk behind me when I walk to my car. Fuck. God damn it.
But that's the only thing I don't get is the dick pics, unsolicited or not.
I don't know.
But like people hit me up like I said, wanting to do. That's why I started the open mic. I have so many people said that they wanted to start comedy, so I was like, okay, I'll skip 1 week of doing a showcase and I'll put on an open mic for you guys. Right. And nobody new showed up.
Yeah, well that's it, and that's they say they want to do it, but they don't want to put the effort into doing it. They want you to hand it to them on a golden platter and an audience and things like that. And that's, you know what?
It probably gets to, you know what it was? It probably gets the day of or like a couple hours before it, and they're like, I don't have I don't have any material.
Yeah.
I don't know what this like, and they just like bail out.
No, that's my favorite. Is someone always comes up and says, yeah, man, I got like 5-10 minutes, and you're like, okay, go ahead and do it. And it's like open mic, and like,
go ahead right now.
2.5 minutes in, and they're just like, all right. I'm like, did you really think that was going to last 10 minutes? What did you expect, like a 7.5 minute applaud break or something? Like, right. What the fuck was that, man?
Yeah. Like that's one thing I definitely go over my sets because I handwrite everything.
Right.
I handwrite everything. I mean, if I'm on the go, I'll put it in my like notes section of my phone.
Right.
But no, I make it a point to handwrite everything. That's how it sinks in for me.
Yeah, everybody's got you gotta have your techniques, and like, you know, now like I'm at the point where I can just put like one word down, and I know where I want to go from that.
That's what I do for my set list.
This is like my set lists are just like, you look at it, looks like a shopping list for death. It's like DWI, chicken. Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me?
That's what I tell people, like, don't, like, if you read my journal, you would be like, oh, this guy's gonna shoot up at middle school soon.
Oh yeah. Like how many napkins I have shit written on, and then I just look at them later going, oh my God, if somebody found this that didn't know what I did, like they would like call the cops. Like,
it's some of it's upsetting. Like there's some of it, like I'll write it down, like this is funny, and then I'll like go over it, I'm like, oh this is too much.
Yeah. That, you know, that's my favorite thing. Like, so when, you know, when I started, you know, I'd start a bit. At the time, the Bar Czar was the Juggling Gypsy, you know, so that's where I would go on Monday nights with some premises, and, you know, because you get longer time there, you know, I get up to 10 minutes on stage, and for 10 minutes you can meander on anything. So like I would have just a list of premises and ideas, and I would just try to talk them through,
work it out,
hear them out loud. And then like Bishop used to have an open mic down at Orton's on Wednesday night. We would do that, and I would work it out again. And then Bishop and I did comedy bingo on Tuesdays, so it was Monday, we'd do a little bit on Tuesday, I'd work out on Wednesday, and by Thursday I'd bring it to the Dead Crow open mic, and I'd be like, oh, it's almost like a formed bit, and like you go and you're like, now it's got wheels, and now I just go back and start the whole cycle over again.
That's how I would do with Dead Crow. I would do Bombers, the Gypsy Barzar. I would do Julius at because that's just right down the street.
Right.
At what is it called again? Damn, Joe's. Lucky Joe's. Lucky Joe's.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. And yeah, and I want to say, it was those three.
Yeah.
And then I would bring it after the show at Julius Tuesday. By Thursday, I'm ready to fucking go.
Yeah. No, it's that's the thing is that, you gotta work your material out, and it's like you're working through those ideas and figuring out where your punches are too. A lot of times, like, you have a funny idea, but you don't know how to draw out, like, more out of it, and and like, I have bits that go 9 minutes long, and like, if you have one joke that goes 9 minutes long, you better fucking have somewhere to go in there to keep people's attention and get them laughing, or just keep something going, and I think that's the fun for me, is trying to figure out those little chunks and like, how do I make them as funny as possible?
That's what.
So when you add them together, it gets big laugh.
That's what John was telling me, that like, even like, I know it's good because I have a small 2 or 3 comic circle that if they tell me something, I don't blow it off. Like, I actually do listen, and like, when they tell me things, it's because they observe and they know, they just know. And he said my setups are funny. My setups are funny because you could pause longer for the punchlines.
Yep.
And it's just little stuff like that
build
could get
up the drama.
It could get a bigger laugh.
Build up the drama. How do you get it? How do you, or maybe don't go for the obvious laugh. Sometimes
misdirection is a really good one.
And and sometimes, like, a joke within a joke, like, there's when just sometimes the way you're doing the joke is the joke.
Yeah.
Like, and like, there's so many different ways to play it and have fun with it, and there's so many places to go, and like, and the idea behind it is just being able to look at it from every angle and knowing, where to go with it and how to do it. Because there's some comics out there that are just out of their minds, and it's just like, fuck, it's great. Like, you look at somebody like, like Maria Bamford, just watch her. There's no, like, you're not going to be able to figure out her. When you watch somebody like Maria Bamford on stage, there's no, like, oh, set up punch. It's just, she's got this way about her, and she's jumping into voices. She's going into stories, and you're just like, there's not one way to go there.
You can't box her in.
No,
into like, oh, she's this comic. She's a fucking entertainer.
Yeah, and
that's what I feel like. That's what I want to get to. Like, I don't want to be just. That's why I put a lot of work into this podcast. I put just as much work into this podcast as I do stand up.
I know, because I see it on fucking Facebook every 5 fucking. I was busting your balls about that.
No.
Hey, how do you want me to introduce you? Doesn't matter. And I'm like, oh, you don't want me to talk about the fucking podcast that you've been plugging for fucking 500 times on Facebook a fucking day? No, okay.
That's funny.
But no, that's it. You've got to have your own, like, way.
And sometimes I hate it. Like, sometimes I don't want to, like. Sometimes I'm like, I know this is annoying, but like, I do it for the people that do want to see it all the time.
No, that's good. I'm just fucking. I had to give you a hard time.
Oh, I know, because
it was so fucking nonchalant.
It's
like,
funny
how do you want me to introduce
I think
you?
about it all the time. I do. I think about it. I'm like, God, I don't want to post as much as I do. I get it, but if I want to do this, like, I kind of got to. And there's a lot of times I just want to, like, shut it off and be like,
yep.
But if I did that, it'd be like having to start again.
We did a podcast. Me, Bishop, and Steve Marzanowski. We did a podcast called "Tell Me When to Stop." We did that for a while. We did about a year, and it was just like. Then it became a slog. It just became like, this is not something I want to do after work and just get with these guys. And then afterwards, I have to go through it, re-listen to it, type out all the things, and put it up. I was just like, you know what? I'm not doing it. you know. But you know, it's fun. It's fun when you do it, but it's just hard. It's hard work. It's you just wish it was just something like you could just, I'm just going to talk on these microphones and then just hit a button and everything's done.
Once I started, I thought it was like that. Well, I guess that's how anybody starts. They're like, oh, it's just, you just talk.
Yeah. You know what it is? We're looking at podcasts like other people look at stand-up. Oh, I could do that. You're like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, they have a whole team on the other side. And I do everything on my own.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's fucking... I don't know if I've had people tell me that the setup looks good and but I'm really hard on myself.
Right.
I'm like, I need to get new mics, I need a new mixer, like this looks like shit.
Right.
This sounds like shit, and it's like but I don't know, I got into it.
Yeah.
Same thing with stand up.
That's it. I mean, it's if you're finding it fun, if you're enjoying it, it's killing the time. You're not out doing bullshit that you're get in trouble for, right? I mean,
I'd rather break laws in here than out there.
That's it, man. I mean, you know, it's fucking. If this is the craziest thing you're doing, you're fucking okay for yourself right now. I like the eye roll. Yeah, I guess.
Well, sure. But it's a lot of it truly the fact that I get a range of different type of people, different backgrounds, whatever. Like I learn shit all the time about stuff. You know, shit, it'll help me grow as a person. Like, there's stuff that, like, I didn't know. You know, someone went through this, I'm like, oh, shit, damn, I've been thinking this way. Like, you're absolutely right. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the typical 20-something mentality. I'll do it my own way, rather than going, let me go talk to people who have done this before and find out where they've made the mistakes, and so I don't make those mistakes.
Right.
It's that whole, like, going back with your hat in your hand going, I fucked up. And someone's like, I told you were going to fuck up. I was told you how you were going to fuck up.
Now it's twice as bad.
Yep. And this is why, you should have came to me at the beginning, because you could have avoided that. And that's, that's the thing is, and again, that's me talking with age and wisdom. Like, here I am, the 42-year-old dude, like, I'm like, ugh.
Like you motherfuckers.
Yeah, and so it's like these young, everyone's like, I'm starting a podcast in a showcase, and I'm gonna shoot my spot. I'm like,
okay,
good luck, kid.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I'm like, how did all that stuff work out? Like,
never started.
Yeah, I couldn't do any of it because I got no money and I quit my job, and you're like, yeah.
That's what I don't get. People that quit their job first and then get into it.
Yep.
Like, you think this shit is free?
Yeah, that's the. It amazes me how many people are like, I can just save $500 and that'll get me through a year, and you're like,
what?
And they're like, you dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like
that's like this is. I'm very aware that what I do during the day help. Get me fucking started.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank God I got it from here.
Yeah.
But it was a bitch getting to this point.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't happen overnight. That's what a lot of people wanted yesterday.
Yep.
And this took 2 years.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. And it is. It's a slow build, and this is not something that happens like there's very rare. Does somebody come on the scene and just become an overnight sensation?
And if they do, they die out just as quick as they got here.
Yeah.
I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah.
I understand it's probably going to take 10 years if I'm lucky, possibly, maybe on a good day.
Yeah.
If something were to go my way, I could possibly make a living at it.
Yeah.
And that's a maybe.
Well, if you look at most comics, they're not only making a living just doing stand-up. A lot of them are writing movies. A lot of them are writing scripts. A lot of them are doing other things. Like, and you're like, oh, because touring around isn't gonna make you a fucking. You're spending a lot of money on traveling and hotels and plane tickets. So it's like I knew comics that have flown from one side of the country to the other and done a show literally paid less than the plane ticket, and you're like, wow.
And you know what a fucked up thing is? I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
It depends what kind of show it was.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. And it's like it's like you look at it and you're like, okay, yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, but I got to be back in LA to do this or whatever, and you're like, yeah, all right, I get it, And it's like, all right, you gotta love it, and it's hard. It's hard. You can't, And for me, it's I'll hang out to the day job as long as I can, and if God forbid I'm ever blessed to do it, full time, that'd be great. But
there's nothing's guaranteed.
No.
I mean, a venue could call. I mean, if you were, if you were short $100 for rent, and you're like, cool, I usually make, $200, $300, $400 a show, cool. And then they say, hey, the staff got sick or whatever happened. We can't do the show tonight. And you're like,
you're fucked. Yeah. Yeah.
So I would never put myself in that situation.
Or
ever.
A show gets canceled. They don't sell enough tickets, and they cancel the show on you. And there's been times that I got booked on a show, and the guy that booked me guaranteed me for it was like $150 to headline the show and all the stuff, and maybe about 3 or 4 days before the show went on, he's like, hey man, I just want to let you know I don't work at that place anymore, but this is your contact, you're gonna hit, the show is still going on. And I'm calling the venue and it's not like it wasn't like a around the corner venue. It was going to be a 3 or 4 hour trip, so I'm not going to go up there unless so I'm on the phone calling these people. I'm like, hey, can I talk to so and so? They're like, this is she, and I'm like, yeah. So I talked to so and so. They booked me on the show, and is it still happening? And they're like, no, we don't know anything about this. And I'm like, thank God I called and didn't just show up.
You just showed up
3 or 4 hours away and just eat shit. Don't get me wrong. You're talking to a guy. I drove 16 hours one way to do 9-minute set.
But where?
I did Laugh Fest. I did in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So there was a comedy festival, the Laugh Fest Comedy Festival. Me and another comic, Matt White, we went up there. We drove up there. 16 hours there. We got one show. Basically, he did a show, I did a show.
Yeah.
And then we stayed in a hotel and just hit our asses right back at another 16 hours afterwards. And it was just like, I mean, do we meet some cool people? Yes. Was it worth 32 hours in a car for 9 minutes of a set? Probably not. But, you live and learn. You're young and dumb. And, at 43 now, I'm like, oh, God, if I was in a car for 16 hours, I would
have made it an hour and been like, you know what? We got 15 more of these motherfuckers. This is how many minutes?
Oh, the worst part.
How many minutes you take? 9?
Well, the worst part is it rained the entire 16 hours there, and they literally pulled into the parking lot in Michigan in the hotel, and I got out, turned my car off, I got out, and the rain stopped as I got out of the car, and I literally was just like, it rained from all the way from North Carolina all the way through Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was like, I wanted to fucking kill somebody. And then on the way back, same shit. It was just,
oh my God.
Yeah, I was going through the mountains of West Virginia. They're just like this.
Sketchy as shit ever.
I'm like, oh, fuck my life, man. Fuck my life. Yeah. Yep.
Whoo.
Yep. There's been some crazy shit.
I'm sure I got some of those coming up.
Yeah.
Especially after COVID.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be fun when it opens back up. I mean, that's.
Oh, I can't wait.
And just being able to just go and do shows again, and get out of town and do shows in other places.
I'm ready to start branching out.
Yeah.
I'm ready to start branching out.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no way I can really build any kind of audience just here. There's definitely a cap to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You definitely gotta get out there and do it, and that's the fun part when you start meeting comics from other places and those types of stories, and I've been lucky enough, I toured with a few guys, and along the way you meet other comics, and then you make lifelong friends, and that's the best part about it.
Oh, I know for a fact that a few of these guys, there's no way they're just gonna go away.
Yeah.
There's just, and I've probably met some of my best friends in comedy.
Yeah.
Hands down, because it's. I mean, the grand scheme of things, this is a small community.
Yeah.
Here in Wilmington,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like for the most part, everybody sticks together.
Yeah.
And everybody wants everyone to do good.
Right.
I don't see any fuckery.
Not yet.
Go. There's not really any opportunity for that yet.
Right.
But especially since a lot of new people, a lot of people started when I started.
Right.
There's like a big class.
That's the thing is when you start with a group of people and like you grow up together almost in a way, and it's it's nice to see that group come up and take the next level of things and hopefully give people the opportunity that you had, and like that's the fun part.
That's the biggest thing. Like if I see someone wants it and they're willing to come out to the open mics, do what put the work in and shit. Yeah, I'll give anyone an opportunity.
Right.
Especially since I have the chance to do what I do at the VFW and at the Sour Barn and places like that let me put shows on.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the best part. It's like being able to figure out, like finding a venue that just wants it, that's looking for something, and then you're just like, hey, I got something, and it could be good. And and when it is good, that's the best
it just
part.
works. That's the cool thing. Like it's fucking perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a full bar. The drinks are cheap.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fucking taco truck in the parking lot every Friday. Like
nice.
And that's pretty cheap. The crowd's good. They tip good. Like you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
you say that now.
We've actually pushed it. Like we've pushed the envelope because I've had some people line up that I was like, have at it.
Yeah.
And they love it.
Good.
And it's just it's a good place to do comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to it this Friday.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm giving everybody well shit, now that it's we can drink till 11.
Yeah.
And we got 3 hours. I mean, I'm letting everyone do as long as you want. I really don't care. Because I know I've talked to a couple people and they're probably gonna do 5, 8, 10 at the very most.
Right.
So that'll be, like I said, we need 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the music act, they're pretty new. Like I said, I'm putting someone on because someone put me on.
Right.
I'm giving them a chance, Well, I grew up with them also.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's my shit. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like that's the cool thing about it. I can do what the fuck I want to do. If it goes bad, I'll know not to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, there's I always another tip I always try to give people is just like nobody wants to see anybody fail. Like nobody's ever been like, hey, I want to go to the show and watch somebody fucking fail. Like nobody's doing that. Everybody wants to see you succeed. Like nobody, like so. It's just that's the fun part about it. Is just go and have fun. If you're having fun, people are gonna have fun with you. I mean, it doesn't matter if it doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's fucking perfect, and the people that think they are, they're fucking full of shit.
And that's what I did. I implemented a music act. The last showcase I did, and people loved it.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I'll do it. I keep do it again.
Yeah.
Like I said, these guys, they ended up coming out to the open mic just to show support. And since like hardly anybody came, they said, fuck it. And I went, because they've never performed before. I mean, they do music, but they've never performed. And I was like, fuck it. If y'all want to do it, let's,
Yeah.
I got a venue. Y'all can, pop your cherry.
Yeah, that's
on
it.
stage.
Let's see how it works.
And they did the open mic a little bit, and but now they're gonna do it for real at the showcase.
That's awesome.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It should be fun.
But yeah. Well, I'll see you on Friday, dude.
Hey,
I really appreciate you coming by and doing the show, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
You want taco for the road?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
All right, man.
Thank you.